The whole reason I got into drawing and art in general was because I wanted to be able to draw amazing characters from my favorite books and TV shows. And trust me when I say my art has come a long way from the early days of drawing characters in my notebooks at school. To get to this point, it's really taken a lot of practice and exercises to get better at drawing characters, and I'm still continuing to try and improve. But if you're more of a beginner artist and you're looking for tips and examples on how to improve and get better at drawing characters, these are some of the things that I've done. Okay, so we know we want to get better at drawing characters, but what specifically do we want to work on? The first thing, especially if you're a beginner, that immediately comes to mind for me is anatomy. Anatomy covers basically everything about the proportions of your characters. This can be anything from the body to facial structure. If you're brand new to drawing people, anatomy is going to be the foundation for pretty much any drawing that you do. So to practice and improve anatomy skills, I recommend doing figure studies and drawings. A great website for doing figure drawing is Line of Action, and I'll be sure to link it down below. It's a free resource that you can use, and you just choose the settings that you want, and they'll provide you with reference photos. If you're like me, you might absolutely hate the thought of doing these exercises, but they're actually really important for your growth. So there are ways to kind of make it more fun. One thing that I recommend doing is you can do these pose references and exercises and then transform that sketch into one of your favorite characters, whether it's an OC or a character from your favorite anime. And as you continue to do these exercises, you'll start to notice that there are certain markers that help you identify if your proportions are right. So for example, no matter how tall or short a character is, their elbows are typically in line with their belly button, and their fingertips tend to fall around mid-thigh. So if you tend to draw arms too long, this can kind of help you keep them in check. Little things like that are going to help you make more informed decisions as you draw more complex poses. And then once you've got a decent grasp on anatomy, there might be specific parts of the body that you don't feel comfortable drawing. When I was just starting out, I used to draw triangles for feet, like all the time. That's because I didn't have a grasp on how to actually draw feet or shoes. So to prove in something specific like this, you've really just got to draw it a bunch of times in a bunch of different angles. Hands are another good example of this. They're really tricky, and I think in addition to just drawing them all the time, if you can find an artist who you think draws hands really well, study how they do it. You'll notice that some artists, depending on the style, simplify things a lot, to the point where there's really only 2 joints in the fingers. This makes it easier to draw, and it's also good for readability. So if you're going for this sort of look, I think it's really helpful to do studies of some of your favorite animators. Another important part of character art is expressions. So to practice this, you'll want to find good references of various expressions. Basically just Google an expression and look at all of the images and try to figure out what it is that they all have in common. Whatever you notice is probably something that helps convey that emotion. So that's something that you can include when you're drawing that expression. I think it's a good idea too to kind of look at your favorite artists and see how they handle drawing certain expressions, just to kind of give you some ideas. And something else that I think is really important for diverse and varied characters is drawing different body types and face types. So for the longest time, all of my characters basically looked the exact same. This is because I really didn't try and get out of my comfort zone. And looking back now, that really hindered my art. And yeah, so I hope this gives you some ideas on how to improve your character art. I think as artists, we're kind of always improving, but if you're a beginner especially, I think these ideas will hopefully be helpful to you, and it'll help you get to a point where you're much happier with the characters that you're drawing. So feel free to like and subscribe if you feel like it, and yeah, go have fun making some art. And I'll see you in the next one.